I want to bring a new concept to the marketplace, and that is fat, centralized body fat, is actually a protective mechanism in response to environmental toxins. Now, this is a very iconoclastic approach, but here's what I'm trying to get across. When I expressed this new concept to the focus group, I needed to find common ground. Most people view fat, cellulite, filthy, unappealing, aesthetically nasty looking. But I am going to bring a new message to the people, and that is that fat is actually part of a very important protective mechanism in response to environmental toxins. Let me explain quickly. The commonality, the common ground that I found in the concept was a sponge. People could grasp the understanding of a sponge. So what I want to do is capture through word content and video that body fat is acting like a sponge that is picking up dirt, filth, mold, chemical and environmental toxins. These sponges are accumulating around the vital organs. Why? Because the sponge is drawing in the toxin, which is then protecting the vital organ from the damage that that environmental toxin would do. I want to relate the viewer to another concept that the body is fluid. If you think about the human body, there is a gallon of blood, which is a fluid. There's a gallon of lymphatics, which is running through our immune system, which is a fluid. There is CSF, cerebral spinal fluid, which is a fluid as well. Now I want them to picture their body being a fluid, and within inside this fluid container are the vital organs, the heart, the brain, the liver, the digestive tract, the thyroid gland, whatever it may be. Now, with that knowledge, that commonality, we're going to be using the sponge analogy as what body fat actually is. So, we have a toxin, an environmental toxin, is placed into our system. Maybe it is GMO foods. Maybe it is pesticides. Maybe it is drug residue. Maybe it is antibiotics, hormones. We can even take it further. We can have acute toxic traumas, like being involved in a terrible abusive relationship where constant negative hormones are being released, changing the internal fluid environment, whatever it may be. But we have a close-up of the body. It's becoming toxified. The fluids are becoming toxified. The internal organs, the vital organs are being damaged. The liver is being damaged by these toxins. The kidneys are being damaged. But the body has a built-in neurometabolic immune system. And that mechanism is to protect us, is to keep us alive. So, one of the biggest and best protectors that we have is body fat. You see, body fat has the amazing ability, one, to grow quickly. We all know that. We've seen it around our waistlines, our love handles, our cellulite. But we see that as a negative. What happens if we started to look at body fat as a protective mechanism, as an airbag to a massive metabolic crash? Or how about something that is cleaning up filth, cleaning up toxin within our own bodies, protecting our vital organs, protecting our brains? So with each toxin exposure, the body develops a protective mechanism, body fat. Visceral body fat developing around the organs, but not in an adversarial manner. This is more like a bodyguard protecting the diva, the heart, or protecting the political important person, the liver. And this is a sacrificial entity. Instead of looking at it as ugly, filthy cellulite, something that people judge us for, we begin to see it for what it is. It's a protective mechanism that is developed and increased in response to a toxic environment. Maybe that person is around mold sores. Maybe that person is around a negative individual who's abusive verbally. Maybe that individual is working in a chemical plant, and their body has to soak up all of this toxin. Well, how do we soak it up? The common ground that resonated with the focal group was a sponge. Some of them spoke of tampons. Some of them spoke of hygienic napkins. Some of them spoke of diapers. Some of them spoke of airbags, in a way of developing common ground from a unique, unfamiliar concept. Body fat is a protective mechanism. Body fat is a friend that soaks up toxins, protecting our vital organs. That's a strange concept. But that common ground was a sponge. So if we can capture this, we begin to realize we put more and more sponges into our system in response to higher and higher levels of toxicity, whether that be a chronic slow seepage from the foods that we're choosing, to a massive one-time event, maybe being involved in a serious mold epidemic. Maybe there's something that you're dealing with at the workplace. But now we're starting to see that body fat is actually a protective mechanism. So step 2 would be to let people understand, when we attempt to burn body fat, that's a very dangerous proposition, because what we're doing is taking a sponge that is full of toxic environmental stressors and burning it, metabolizing it. It puts the toxin back into the system. That is a negative. The immune system alarm would be going off big time. And this is why, especially people that are dealing with hormonal toxicities, women over the age of 35 with thyroid or Hashimoto's diseases, people that have a hard time getting rid of toxins like mold, like inflammatory metabolites, like immune system or autoimmune disorders. You do this to them, one, their joints start to hurt as they exercise and attempt to diet and burn body fat. And as we burn body fat, we need to see it for what it is. It is a sponge that is full of a toxin. You don't want to put what the sponge has soaked up to protect you back into a toxic system, for your system will get sicker and sicker. And then what happens? We stop the dietary protocols. We stop the exercise, right? We reach that optimal weight. But our body is again full of toxic environmental stressors that are damaging the vital organs. What does our body naturally do? It begins to build back up the barrier. The sponges go back into your system. You put all your body fat back on because you never dealt with the actual mechanism, the underlying mechanism, which is the toxicity of the body, the environmental stressors. Now this is where Metabolic Boot Camp will come in, and this is what I want to show them. I want to show them that we can give the body a way of cleansing itself on a regular basis that will allow them the vital organs to function at a higher level, the blood to function at a higher level, the lymphatics to function at a higher level by putting these cleansers in. I almost picture a pool full of algae, and you're putting a chemical into that pool. We don't want to emphasize chemical, but we do want to emphasize another familiar or common ground, which is the application of a substance to clean fluid. Now I'm open to suggestions. Concepts are great. I picture a pool full of algae and we're putting chemicals in and balancing the pH, and boom, we've got a crystallized pool, beautiful blue waters. That's what I picture, but I'm open to suggestions. This then allows the neurometabolic immune system to recognize our toxic levels are low. There's no reason for us to put body fat on. So body fat's been taken from a fiend to a friend. I want that mechanism of protection to be emphasized. But I also want people to understand they have to first get clean before they ever get lean.